What separates a harmless loner in a flat earth Facebook group from someone who might actually pick up a gun and shoot people? In July 2011, Anders Breivik murdered 77 people, most of them kids at a summer camp on the island of Utøya in Norway. Anders Breivik is racist, yes, but so are lots of idiots who never make the transition to child-murdering terrorist. One of the things that set Breivik apart were his conspiracy theories. He believes in the white genocide, or Great Replacement ideology, a conspiracy theory that holds that there is a secret plan run by Jews to replace white people in Europe and North America with brown and black people.
How conspiracy theorists become terrorists.
This will be interesting to watch. Before we get started, I would like to say that if at any point in time you like something that I say, please hit that like button. And if you really, really like it, go ahead and subscribe. And if you really, really, really like it, you can even hit that notification bell, and I promise I won't blow you up with notifications. Now let's get into this video, shall we? To me, Vice has gone way downhill since I don't know when. It just seemed like one day I woke up and all of a sudden I was like, Vice is coming out with a lot of bullshit lately. The last video I watched from Vice was about conspiracy theories, and honestly it was one of the dumbest videos I've ever seen on YouTube. In the entirety of YouTube, in all the videos I've watched, it is one of the dumbest. Just no nuance, no critical thinking, none of it. So I decided, since I saw this video just came out a few hours ago, I'd watch it and see what I thought, since it's about conspiracies. Let's see if they're still on their bullshit. Or maybe, just maybe this time they'll approach it with some nuance. I doubt it, but we'll see. Right off the top, I already noticed this whole term conspiracy theorist really trying to become, or being pushed to be synonymous with white supremacists, and those two things are not synonymous.
They say they are anti-racist, but what they are is anti-white. Anti-racist is a code word for anti-white.
This has been doing the rounds since about 1916, when the eugenicist Madison Grant published a book called The Passing of the Great Race. But probably the most influential version was dreamt up in the 1970s by the American Nazi David Lane, who was eventually imprisoned for his part in the murder of a Jewish radio host. Now, since 1916, the white population of the world has actually multiplied several times over, which would make this the least effective genocide in history. But that didn't matter to Robert Bowers, who shot 11 people dead at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Patrick Crusius, who killed 23 people in El Paso, Texas, or Brenton Tarrant, who murdered 51 in Christchurch, New Zealand. These were all deadly conspiracy theorists. And the truth didn't matter to Tamerlan Tsarnaev either. He was a jihadist who killed 3 people and injured 269 at the Boston Marathon. As a Muslim fundamentalist, he and Breivik would see themselves as opposites, and yet the two were actually into similar conspiracy theories. In fact, the crossover between the conspiracy theories followed by right-wing anti-Muslim maniacs in the West and Muslim jihadists runs deep. QAnon chat rooms claim that COVID-19 is a hoax, cooked up to harvest adrenochrome from kids in Wuhan. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard calls the virus a Zionist biological terror attack. So, the violence conspiracy theories can lead to aren't related to a specific ideology. It's about a certain mindset. And extremist groups realize this and use conspiracy narratives to manipulate people into committing violence. Many studies have shown that the tendency to believe in conspiracy theories, whether on the right wing or the left, is related to narcissistic psychological impulses. By constructing fantasy worlds in which people become the lone heroes in their own battle of good versus evil, conspiracy theories can have a game-like feel. In fact, experts have charted a model for how conspiracy theories work and how they can get out of control in the world of alternate reality games, or ARGs.
Before we go any further, I would like to define the term conspiracy. So here it is, or over here, or somewhere on the screen. A conspiracy is an agreement to perform together an illegal, wrongful, or subversive act, a group of conspirators, or an agreement between 2 or more persons to commit a crime or accomplish a legal purpose through illegal action. A theory is a set of statements or principles devised to explain a group of facts or phenomena, especially one that has been repeatedly tested or is widely accepted and can be used to make predictions about natural phenomena. The branch of a science or art consisting of its explanatory statements, accepted principles, and methods of analysis, as opposed to practice. A set of theorems that constitute a systematic view of a branch of mathematics. So that one's more of a mouthful. But essentially all that's necessary for a conspiracy is two or more people to have a secret agenda that is nefarious in nature. And I suppose the theory component would be having a set of statements or principles to explain certain facts or phenomena that we see. So I hate the way the term conspiracy theory is demonized because it's just used to dismiss something without actually looking into it. When you look at the actual definition of conspiracy, obviously conspiracies exist. You have to be absurdly naive to believe that there aren't at least two people in this world that may be plotting to do something evil in secret. I mean, honestly, it could be as simple as something like two politicians secretly saying, hey, let's siphon some of this money off for ourselves. That's a conspiracy because it would be illegal and two people doing an illegal action in secret. So the point is, please stop demonizing the term conspiracy theorist and just look at facts from a nuanced perspective. Just look at information and go with what the information tells you. And that goes in both directions, really. Don't just blindly believe something because it's labeled a conspiracy theory. And don't just automatically dismiss it because it's labeled a conspiracy theory. Look at the nuanced details. Just approach things with an open mind and see what the information tells you, what the facts tell you.
ARGs are basically games where people receive coded clues and missions across various forms of online and IRL media, then have to work out what's going on, never quite knowing where the story ends and real life begins. One of the earliest and best known ARGs was called Ong's Hat, started in 1993 by the artist and writer Joseph Metheny. Metheny put together a conspiracy-style plotline about a group of renegade professors experimenting in trans-dimensional travel in New Jersey. He then sent players clues on very early internet message boards, CD-ROMs, Xerox flyers, and radio ads.
Started seeding the rumor, the legend around 93, and we were building artifacts from Ong's Hat, interdimensional artifacts, and then we were burying them in boxes. If you looked at some of the artwork and you just happened to run your mouse around it, there would be a sound, and you'd be like, well, what's that? And you would click it, and then a little pop-up would come up, and it would link to a website, and it would say, here's some geographical GPS coordinates, and if you would go to those coordinates, if you were the first one there, you would find something I'd buried.
I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about Ong's Hat, so I can't speak at all on this topic, really. But again, what I do notice here is how conspiracies just get lumped together into this giant box. I mean, this is all fine and dandy. It's interesting, I guess, but I want to look at the solid physics of things. For example, 9/11. Are there any structural engineers out there that say that this is the result of asymmetrical damage? In other words, that planes crashing into the side of two buildings would cause three buildings to fall like this? I've yet to come across someone who understands physics, like an engineer or that type, that says, oh yeah, that's what caused those towers to fall down. Everybody that has an understanding of physics or how to construct a building looks at that and says, oh, that's a controlled demolition. But that's not what the official 9/11 story says. So if we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, okay, maybe this Ong's Hat thing started with a video game in the 90s. But what about the laws of physics not aligning with official stories? What's the explanation for that? And these are the things that never really seem to get addressed to me. It's just that you have this one, or these few outliers, these extremists that go out and shoot up places, and you have outliers and extremists, and those are the people that always seem to get all of the attention, unfortunately. I mean, that's how it is with everything, right? Not all liberals are with pink hair, glasses, fat, out in the street, yelling a bunch of weird shit about how there's 572 genders. Not everyone in the liberal democratic side is that extreme outlier. Just as not everyone that is considered conservative is this far-right Nazi extremist. Those are the extreme ends of the spectrum. Again, nuance.
Perhaps inevitably, things got out of control. Players started taking over the narrative themselves and escalating their activities into harassment, threats, and home invasions.
There was a concerted effort by a group of people that wanted to hijack what I was doing with that game. They wanted to convert it into some sort of, true believer conspiracy theory thing. There was a couple of times where I had to escort people off my property at gunpoint.
When Metheny tried to step in to calm things down, he was accused of being part of the conspiracy himself. He shut the game down in 2001.
At that time, I didn't understand enough about conspiracy culture to know that everybody is not like me, in that I look at things skeptically and agnostically, whereas a lot of people do not, and I mean a lot of them. And I think that percentage has gotten larger since the advent of the internet.
I agree with that heavy. Like I said earlier, don't just blindly dismiss things because it's labeled as a conspiracy. And on the same note, don't immediately believe everything because it is a conspiracy or because someone that you trust or look up to said that it is so. Always try to look deeper. Try to look deeper. And in that looking deeper, I've actually found a lot of conspiracy theories to be false. But I've also found a lot of conspiracy theories to be true.
Analysts have called this momentum towards violence corrupted play. When Anders Breivik stepped onto Utoya Island, he deliberately put on his headphones to drown out the screams of the people he shot. A common phrase amongst witnesses and survivors was that it was like a computer game. This was the moment that the alternate reality game became the first-person shooter. These days, Metheny now reports that many of the most hardcore Ong's Hat veterans have popped up prominently in modern conspiracy movements like Wienergate, Gamergate, Pizzagate, QAnon, and the various coronavirus and 5G conspiracist groups.
They were the forerunners of this, and so what they had in mind is what Q is doing, which is they took the format of an ARG and they weaponized it.
There's always been a major element of conspiracy theory that is simply cosplay for people who pretend that they don't like cosplay, weaving Dungeons and Dragons style fantasies to fill the narcissistic vacuums of their lives. It wasn't enough for Anders Breivik to murder kids. He had to larp that he was a Templar knight fighting a crusade. Tamerlan Zarnev exhibited all the violent delusions of personal grandiosity that define both conspiracy theorists and narcissistic disorders. When Brenton Tarrant killed 51 people at a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand, he live-streamed it like a YouTuber, thirsty for clicks and attention. Conspiracy theorists aren't all innocent juvenile kids anymore. The tragedy is that when combined with
See, this is the problem I have. Yes, denounce those sick individuals for the heinous crimes that they did, but stop with this. Everyone that believes a conspiracy is a juvenile child. You want to talk about psychological manipulation? There it is for you right there. Pay attention. Because these are the things that seep into your subconscious, so when you hear the word conspiracy theory, you automatically go, oh no, I don't want to be associated with that because I don't want to be associated with these white supremacists and jihadist fuck jobs. I'm interested in the truth, and I'm ready to do away with this term conspiracy theory because it's a distraction and it's not productive.
The tragedy is that when combined with the dehumanization inherent in so many extreme political ideologies, the corrupted narcissistic cosplay fantasies now increasingly feature real guns, real victims, and real-world political outcomes.
Well, that one wasn't as stupid as the first. But, well, let me try to look at the positives here and what I agree with in this video. I've been sitting here for a few seconds and I can't think of anything significant to say, so what I will say is, no matter where you considered yourself before watching this video or right now as I'm speaking, if you think of yourself as a conspiracy theorist or as someone who is definitely not a conspiracy theorist. I think what's more important is just practicing being an individual that has an open mind. Don't immediately dismiss something when you hear it because it sounds crazy. And also, don't immediately assume the worst. Sometimes things are good. There are positives in this world. Not every single politician is evil. They might be terribly misguided, 99% of them, but not every single one of them is evil. Not every single one of any particular group, whether it's conspiracy theorists or whether it's black people or Jewish people or white people, not every single person from a particular group is that stereotype or this particular way. I think if we look at things as individual situations and we look at things with nuance, then we're going to get a lot farther and we're going to be more productive and we're actually going to be able to see what the truth is. And lastly, I think it's really important that if you are fighting against evil, if that's the way you see it, fighting against evil, then I think it's really important to not become the evil that you're fighting against. So that's all I've got for today. Remember, have an open mind.